I think more and more as organizations go through transformations, it's becoming clearer and clearer to organizations about how they need to integrate a skills framework or a strategy for upskilling their workforce. I think especially within that agile DevOps transformation, it's very easy to think you can succeed by taking a team, putting them on a training course and saying, hey, we're on our way to agile or on our way to DevOps. The recognition that it needs to be a strategic view, it needs to be an ongoing upskilling journey as part of that agile DevOps journey, I think is absolutely critical. Things are moving so quickly that as we know, the pace of change, both in terms of technology and the workforce, means that really upskilling and integrating upskilling pathways for your employees is just now such a core part of the workforce. Yeah, I think as we, again, as always with executives, it's about the results. It's around the data, around the educating them to the kind of benefits of moving to whether it's agile, whether it's DevOps more specifically, and within RMIT Online, we work with a lot of executive leaders locally in Melbourne and in Australia, and again more and more as they realise that the upskilling piece is within there. I think leaders, managers within the organisation, you just need to kind of see some of the kind of case studies of organisations that have executed and really reap the benefits of a DevOps culture through continuous delivery, through faster speed to production, removing some of that red tape, and of course the kind of benefits to the culture of the organisation, which is so key. So I think when representing and influencing executives, start with the examples, the case studies, the benefits of DevOps for the organisation, for the influence and the impact it can have on addressing the rate of change that's happening in the workforce and in technology. So start there. Start with we can move deployment cycles from monthly or quarterly down to ultimately to continuous delivery and continuous deployment. That's going to have a benefit, and then really I think with the short course that we focused on with the DASA content, it really was focused on in some ways the business benefit of DevOps and really the cultural impacts to the organization, the sense of autonomy, the sense of energy it can bring to a team by breaking down those silos, and that's reasonably well known within the kind of broader agile framework, but connecting that into DevOps and allowing empowering teams to work within an environment where they feel empowered to make change and they're not kind of bogged down in red tape and long release cycles. So those two things I think are just so key. The kind of results and the results of the process alongside the impact on the teams and the culture, to me, are really the key messages I would be giving to an executive and allowing them to translate that into an understanding of why they would adopt DevOps for their organisation. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, this year, 2020, has been a year like no other for many of us around the world. And as we look at the broader impacts again on the two key ingredients of I guess what we're talking about, the workforce alongside the impact of digital, those two transformations that are happening, the workforce transformation through more adoption of distributed working, and then the role that digital plays, both in terms of enabling that transformation, but also the impact it has on the the speed of change and organisation ongoing. You know, at RMIT, we've really been focusing on building out a kind of a portfolio of courses that address all of these core skills around digital and workforce transformation over the last 2 to 3 years. We've now got around 40 courses in these kind of core skills, from obviously DevOps, as we're talking about here, and Agile, product management, digital marketing strategy, design thinking, alongside the technical skills such as blockchain, AI, IoT. And so really, you know, being able, you know, having those skills and having those kind of technologies and those work practices, if you like, or those evolving work practices, it's only accelerated this year. So we've been building this out with a view that we know things are moving quickly, and we know every organisation is going through some form of transformation, and in the current climate, obviously, it's just been accelerated. And I think, for me, out of all of the you know, challenges and difficulties that this year's brought for everyone, for both a personal and a professional and a organisational level, as we come out of it, hopefully in weeks or months, I think the impacts are going to be, you know, massive. And what we'll reflect on is just how much this experience through the change in work practices and the impact of technology has really transformed. Has really accelerated all of those transformations and has taken us just a major step forward. So I think, you know, again, it taps back into the need for organisations to have a way of addressing that speed of change through their own organisational structures, and as well as how they continue to retain their workforce and keep their employees' skills to a level where they can both have the resilience to adapt to that speed of change, but also come out of this period ready for what's coming next, which is, you know, I think an incredibly exciting time at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. So we first spoke with DASA, I think it was the beginning of 2019. So at RMIT Online, as I mentioned, as we look at you know, what are the skills, what are these in-demand skills, and you know, where do we focus our attention for the next kind of solution to upskill the workforce. DevOps was up there. You know, I've got a personal connection to DevOps, and as a digital product person, been working in digital product for around about 12 years. Worked in previous organisations in a, you know, a very mature DevOps environment, so I can really see the benefits. But we also then, you know, we speak to our industry partners. On this particular course, we partnered with ThoughtWorks, who are a leading consulting organisation or service organisation in Australia, one of the leading voices in DevOps. So we partnered with, we spoke to ThoughtWorks. They fully supported the need for a course in this area of how to implement DevOps in your organisation. And through that conversation with DASA, you know, what that really brought us was this really robust framework and model and structure around, for us, what we needed, I guess, from DASA was the fundamentals of DevOps to somebody who didn't really know what DevOps was or is. So within the course, that's why we use the fundamentals course curriculum and content, because that's the level that this course is aimed at. As I say, it's not a deeply technical, hands-on or a DevOps coaching course. It's very much around a product manager or a business analyst, a project manager, an executive leader, wanting to understand, you know, what is DevOps? Why should I bring this to my organization? How do I work within this framework? And one of the, you know, as well as the kind of fantastic way that DASA approaches DevOps as a discipline, there was one specific thing that really stood out for me, which was the competency framework. This is you know, it doesn't ignore all of the different roles that play a part within a transformation and within a DevOps organization. It'll be very easy to focus just on a developer or just an ops person. But again, as a product manager that's worked in a DevOps environment, it's important for me to understand the ways of DevOps and why, you know, why as an organization haven't we got a 2-week change freeze or a change board or risk control a risk management team across all this stuff, and how is it really empowering me as a product manager to achieve the goals of the product. So I think the competencies framework is a sort of foundation for me of how it connects to how we see upskilling and addressing all these topics. A design thinking course clearly isn't just for designers. Even a product management course that we run isn't just for product managers. Anyone who's working in an organization is doing a little piece of product management. Some people are looking for a job as a product manager. Some people are looking to understand it more in terms of the discipline. Some people just want to gain some of the benefit that brings. You know, the value of a front-end developer, or or even a back-end developer, skilling up in UX design. That connects back into this broader approach that organizations need to take to upskilling. It's not just putting your developers on a DevOps course. It's not just putting your UXs on an advanced UI course. It's really blending these skills, and the DASA framework I think covers that really well. So yeah, it was a great foundation for us to cover the fundamentals of DevOps and really and layer that as the kind of scaffold around which we place all of the ThoughtWorks and ThoughtWorks content and case studies and experience into the broader piece around organizational change and workforce development. I think one of the big trends at the moment is specifically around micro-credentialed skills. So, the traditional, way of, outside of the formal accredited university sector, the formal way of, going on a one-week course or completing a MOOC with a certificate. I think they're great, but I think they've all been seen to, be, not quite what employers and employees need to really represent the skills they're acquiring. And the micro-credential framework that's being adopted globally, well, there's not one single framework, but the concept of micro-credentials, the concept of, and this is for RMIT, we've established a micro-credential framework over the last 3 years that at the heart of it has obviously competency-based assessments, project-based assessments. It has deeply endorsed by or integrated industry content and assessment. So all of our courses are delivered by industry mentors at RMIT Online, and we sort of value highly that integration of industry and the expertise that brings. And then with a robust design framework and student experience around that, both in terms of how we design the course, how we teach the course, and how we give the micro-credential the integrity it needs in terms of learning outcomes and levels of learning. So all of this wrapped up into a micro-credential is really, the power of that for organizations especially is being able to give their employees a robust, if you want to call it a currency for their skills, so they can now represent their skills that they acquire through their role in this digital badge format, if you like, in a robust way, recognised by one of the largest universities in Australia, in our case at RMIT. And I think, again, I'll always connect it back to what this means for the organisation as they approach their upskilling, and what it gives them is this really robust framework for both upskilling and recognition, which then helps with staff retention. It helps with obviously their own outcomes as a business in terms of the skills. So while micro-credentials is just a kind of currency on top or a digital representation, it really is at the heart of the integrity and the representation of upskilling. So that's a big thing. I could talk for hours on micro-credentials, and there's a lot of conversations happening around Australia and globally around the micro-credential world. Beyond that, I do think it's really organisations focusing on those core skills that they need as a business to grow, and whether that's technical, whether it's strategy course, whether it's design thinking, or creative thinking, creative essentials. I think these are again, this recognition that it is a accumulation of skills rather than a specific prescribed training course for a specific role. I think that's the real piece that's evolving as well.